Hello, my name is Simon Hill, and today we are joined for the first time ever in a sit-down interview with the TNT Extreme Wrestling's general manager, Kid Lykos. Firstly, Kid Lykos, thank you for joining us in this unprecedented interview.
No problem. It's probably one of the first times I've done a sit-down interview like this, so I'm quite intrigued to see what you have for me.
Now, before we do get into the reason why you're here today, there is something personally that I would like to ask you.
Hmm.
Now, we've seen multiple videos online that you've posted with Kid Lykos 2. Many believe that there's a hidden message behind these videos. Can you clarify what we're seeing here?
Well, to me, it's pretty straightforward. I'll be honest, Simon. Video number one, we're addressing the elephant in the room with regards to Lykos 2, especially in the North. Joe Nelson was such a sweetheart, such an underrated wrestler, and the Northern fans really gripped onto him. Not to say the Southern fans didn't, but the Northern fans really did. And they weren't very receptive necessarily to the changeover to Kid Lykos 2. So we wanted to address that straight off the bat. And then, of course, my interview, my promo, I mean, that's pretty straightforward as well. That's 21 months now of frustration about being retired at a point where British wrestling was rising and rising still. And now I get to come back. I get to help with the rebuild of it all, and I'm very excited for that. And I think that explains promo number 3, where the Lykos gym is coming for everything that's there. We are going for it.
Does this mean that we will see our general manager step into a TNT Extreme Wrestling ring in the near future?
Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. No. And here's why. See, when I became TNT Wrestling GM, I wanted to put on some of the best shows in the Northern Territories, and I thought TNT was the place to do it. And thankfully, they offered me the general manager contract, and I don't want to refute that kindness and refute that opportunity and just jump in head first back in the ring with no promises or anything. I want to keep building TNT the way I have and keep moving forward. In 2021, we're going to be moving forward.
With that in mind, with you now as the TNT Extreme Wrestling GM, with your recent videos, your announcements, what does this mean for Kid Lykos at TNT Extreme Wrestling?
Well, I'm going to keep working to put on the best shows possible, and I'm going to say Kid Lykos 2 is going to be working to put on some of the best matches possible, but we will be keeping our part separate at this point with regards to TNT. And to be honest, I've got a lot on my plate for next year with TNT. We've got a hell of a lot of things to sort out, a hell of a lot of things to... I'm very excited to let people know, to be honest.
And you have touched upon that. We have got a lot to sort out here at TNT, and I'm just getting word actually. So, okay, so there is the reason you're here is because you've got a big announcement for us with TNT Extreme Wrestling as we look forward to 2021.
So just one big announcement is why I'm here. I think you might need to check your facts a little bit. I think there's quite a few big announcements that need to be made for next year. But
Okay.
you have to work if you want them. I'm not just going to give them all away for free like this.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, let me get your thoughts on something first. So, tell me about the talent who will be battling it out for the vacated TNT World Championship. Do you have any plans in place to crown a new champion?
Well, I'm not going to reveal the talent straight off the bat, but what I will say is 2021 needs a year of rebuild. 2020 has been an awful year, but 2021 needs to rebuild. And what better way to rebuild TNT than to recrown a new TNT Extreme Wrestling Heavyweight Champion? And I've got a few aces up my sleeve for who's going to be involved in that, but you just have to wait and see about those announcements.
You're keeping your cards close to your chest on this one, Kid Lykos, I see.
Yeah, go fish.
The world title isn't the only championship that is currently vacated, with the TNT Extreme Wrestling Division title also up for grabs. Now, a question that I have for you, Kid Lykos, is Clint Margera went through 3 grueling matchups earlier this year to win the #1 contender spot for that title before it was vacated. Do you not believe that he should be rewarded with the championship as opposed to going through all of that again and to not even be guaranteed the opportunity by the end of it?
To be fair, Clint Margera is essentially the uncrowned TNT Extreme Division champion, but let's be real here. Like I said, this is about rebuild. This is a restart, a fresh start for TNT. And last year's results, they don't really matter to me anymore. And if we're going to be quite frank with it, Clint Margera is a fighter. As you said, 3 grueling matches last year. He lives for this. So who's to say he's not going to live for this again and go the distance in our DOA tournament?
I hope we see more from Clint Margera soon. It seems like you do have some plans in that back pocket of yours, Kid Lykos.
Yeah, quite a few, quite a few.
Something that Charlie Evans spoke about this year at DOA as well was the first ever TNT Extreme Wrestling's all-women's deathmatch tournament. Now, fans have been very vocal about this event, as you know, but we're yet to hear more news regarding this show. Are you able to share anything with us today?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Charlie Evans, because every name you're saying so far is just a fighter after a fighter, and Charlie Evans has proven himself in hardcore and deathmatch style over the last 18 months, let's say. So, I mean, I've not just taken her word into account, but all the other wrestlers on our roster. So first, let's talk about the fact that I'm going to announce we are having an all-women's card, Sirens Fury, all-women's professional wrestling promoted by TNT. But that's not the only big announcement. You see, we have a show called Total Carnage. And the big deal about that is that will be the first ever all-women's deathmatch tournament.
Wow.
Charlie Evans is getting her wish.
What a huge announcement. So you heard it here first from the TNT Extreme Wrestling GM, Kid Lykos, that Total Carnage will be the official TNT Women's Deathmatch Tournament. How exciting. And I'm assuming there'll be more news to come, Kid Lykos, in 2021.
Of course, yeah. We're still, obviously, we've got to keep some cards close to our chest going into the new year.
Now, talking of shows, there are 21 announced, including Ignition, so far for the TNT Extreme Wrestling calendar. What else can we expect during those dates?
Well, I guess I could give you some information. I mean, I touched on it earlier. Kid Lykos 2, the current Ultra X champion. Well, maybe I should tell you about Project X, which will be a high-flying celebration almost. Celebrating guys like Kid Lykos 2, celebrating guys like Nico Angelo, celebrating guys like Robbie X. And we will have an Ultra X 4-way match on that show.
Wow. Huge news here from our GM. And this is, as we said earlier, a very unprecedented interview that was very last minute. So I'm glad to have had this opportunity to sit down with you, Mr. GM. And before I do let you go, because I know you're an incredibly busy man, is there anything else you would like to add to tell our fans about for next year?
Well, my first thing would be to say, keep your eyes peeled, because there'll be more and more announcement. There's certainly a big deal to be made of our show called Extreme Fields. I'm not going to touch on everything just yet, but I definitely keep your eyes out for that, and I'd keep your wallets ready. To be honest, it's going to be an exciting time next year, 2021. It is going off at TNT Extreme Wrestling.
Wow, this is news to me, so I am just as excited as the fans. As this is the first time I'm getting this news as well. Thank you so much for joining us in this rare interview opportunity. It's clear we have a lot to look forward to in 2021 at TNT Extreme Wrestling. And from our GM, once again, Kid Lykos, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you, Simon.